Okay, so what if, like, everything you've ever been told about happiness is just wrong? Seriously. What if trying so hard to be happy is the very thing making you miserable?
That's a heavy question to start with.
Right. And what if the real secret, to a good life isn't skipping the pain, but actually choosing the pain you're willing to put up with?
It's totally counterintuitive, isn't it? Especially now. We're swimming in these images of perfection all the time.
Everywhere.
Perfect bodies, the perfect job, that perfect relationship you see online. Does it ever make you feel like, I don't know, you're falling short?
All the time.
Like you're stuck somehow, needing to be more? That feeling, that inadequacy is incredibly common. A real burden for a lot of people.
It absolutely is, that feeling of always chasing something, always needing to prove yourself. So today, we're diving into a book that just kicks those ideas to the curb.
Boldly kicks them.
Yeah, boldly. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Feck. Now, the title, okay, it sounds maybe a bit rebellious, right?
A little bit, yeah.
But honestly, it's packed with these really profound, kind of human truths about choosing what actually matters in, let's face it, a pretty messy world. So our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack why embracing the struggle, accepting that maybe we're kind of average sometimes, and learning not to give a feck about the small stuff, why that might just be the most freeing path to a meaningful life.
So, yeah, prepare to maybe have some of those long-held beliefs gently challenged.
Gently but firmly kicked. Let's do it. All right, so let's get into this big, almost like audacious idea from the book. Don't try. I mean, that goes against everything.
Everything we're taught, yeah, like hustle harder, never give up.
Exactly. And the book uses this incredibly unlikely figure to illustrate this, Charles Bukowski.
Oh, Bukowski, yeah. What a character. An alcoholic, a gambler, called himself a lazy poet. I mean, for decades, his life looked like, well, a failure by most standards.
Totally. Rejected by publishers, broke, battling depression. He sounds like the absolute last person you'd take life advice from.
Right. But his story is actually a perfect example of this core idea.
So for like 30 years, he wanted to be a writer. But just rejection after rejection, people called his stuff terrible, crude.
Obscene, yeah.
He's working this dead-end post office job, just scraping by, drinking at night, sometimes pounding out poems. It sounds pretty bleak, honestly.
It's a blur, really, meaningless, maybe. But then something kind of clicks. He's 50. And after this lifetime of, failure, a small independent publisher actually takes a chance on him.
Just one shot.
Pretty much his only shot. And Bukowski's response, it was so raw. He basically said, stay at the post office and go crazy, or get out and play with my typewriter and starve. I have decided to starve.
Wow, that acceptance, right? Not even striving, just accepting the likely outcome.
Exactly. That was the turning point. He wasn't trying to win. He was just choosing his struggle.
Right.
And then he knocks out his first novel, Post Office, in like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. And after that, he just exploded, became this hugely successful writer, sold millions. But the kicker, the thing that makes him central here, is his tombstone.
Ah, the epitaph.
Yeah, it just says, don't try.
And that simple phrase, it says so much. Because even with fame, Bukowski didn't really change who he was. His success didn't come from, trying to be great in that typical self-help way.
Right.
It came from radically accepting his flaws, his whole loser persona, and just writing about it honestly. He didn't try to be someone else.
Which is so different from how we spin these stories now, isn't it? It's always never give up, believe in yourself.
Totally. We miss that core message of radical self-acceptance that actually freed him up.
The difference between striving for some image versus just being, it's huge. And it leads right into this other big problem the book tackles. Our culture's obsession with constant positivity.
Oh, yeah. The pressure. Be happier, healthier, smarter, richer, sexier.
More.
Always more. It's relentless. But the irony, the real kicker, is that focusing so hard on what we should be just highlights what we feel we lack. It points out all our supposed flaws, our failures. And that just makes us feel worse. You feel poor, so you chase get-rich-quick stuff. You feel your life's boring, so you scroll Instagram.
Comparing it to everyone else's highlight reel.
Exactly. And it creates this vicious cycle.
Which the book calls the feedback loop from hell. Love that name.
It's perfect, isn't it? It's that awful spiral. You feel anxious, then you feel anxious about being anxious, which makes you more anxious. Or you feel guilty, then guilty about feeling guilty.
Ugh, yes. It just feeds itself. And social media, like you said, just turbocharges it. Your normal, messy life feels totally messed up compared to those perfect online lives. You start thinking something's fundamentally wrong with you.
Precisely. Maybe your grandparents felt bad sometimes, but that they probably just, I don't know, got back to shoveling snow or whatever.
But they didn't pathologize it.
Exactly. Now, we're overwhelmed not just by the feeling, but by the meta-feeling. We feel bad for feeling bad. And that's the trap. This idea that negative feelings are just not okay.
Which is why this not giving a feck idea is so, well, vital. It's about accepting that, yeah, the world's kind of messed up, and that's all right. It always has been.
And if you can stop giving a feck about feeling bad, you short-circuit that loop.
You just say, okay, I feel bad, so what? Why should I care?
Poof. The cycle breaks. And this ties into what the philosopher Alan Watts called the backwards law.
The backwards law.
It's a paradox, basically.
Right.
The more you desperately chase positive experiences, the less satisfied you actually feel, because wanting it just highlights that you don't have it. But the flip side is accepting negative experiences. That's actually a positive experience in itself.
Whoa, okay, let that sink in. So, wanting good stuff is negative, but accepting bad stuff is positive.
Kind of flips it on its head, right? Think about it. The more you crave being rich, the poorer you feel, no matter how much money you have. The more you desperately want to be happy, the lonelier you often feel.
Yeah, I could see that. Think about a time, maybe, when you tried really hard for something and it just got more frustrating, like pushing water uphill.
Exactly. What if just letting go a bit was the actual key?
Reminds me of that Camus quote, the existentialist guy.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
Something like, you will never be happy if you continue to search for what happiness consists of. You will never live if you're looking for the meaning of life.
Boom. The desperate search itself ruins it.
And you see this everywhere, don't you? Like when you care less about how you look at a party, you end up having more fun.
Totally. Or that job interview where you're kind of like, if I get it, great. If not, whatever. You end up being more yourself, more confident.
Because you're not desperately attached to the outcome.
That's the backwards law in action. If chasing the positive is negative, then accepting the negative brings positive results. Think about the gym, enduring the pain leads to health.
Right. Business failures teach you lessons.
Being honest about your weaknesses, that can actually build confidence. Facing your fears builds courage. Pain often drives growth.
So it feels like anything truly valuable comes from overcoming the negative stuff tied to it. Trying to escape or ignore the negative just backfires.
Always. Running from suffering is suffering. Denying failure is failure. Obsessing over avoiding pain means you care way too much about pain.
But if you can genuinely not give a feck about the pain,
then what can stop you?
That's powerful. But it's important to clarify, right? Not giving a feck doesn't mean being indifferent or apathetic.
Not at all. That's a common mistake. It's not about being lazy or checked out. It's about learning to focus your energy, your attention.
Prioritizing.
Exactly. Figuring out what truly matters to you, based on your own values and letting go of the rest. It's hard work, actually. It takes practice. Maybe a lifetime.
But it's maybe the most important struggle. Because if you give too many fucks about everything,
you feel entitled. Entitled to always be comfortable, always be happy. Everything should go your way.
And that mindset just eats you up inside, doesn't it? Every bump in the road feels like a personal attack. Every disagreement feels like betrayal.
You're trapped in that feedback loop from hell again. Going nowhere.
And people confuse this with just not caring, like being a sociopath or something.
Right. But true indifference is often just hiding. People who act indifferent often care too much about what others think. They're afraid.
So they pretend not to care, like not combing their hair because they care too much about their hair.
Exactly. Or hiding behind sarcasm because they care about their ideas. Fearing connection, so they act like they're uniquely messed up.
The hidden truth is you have to care about something. We're wired that way.
It's biological. The real question isn't if you give a feck, it's what you choose to give a feck about and how you manage not to care about the trivial stuff.
Like when someone says, oh, they just don't give a feck.
Yeah, what they usually mean is that person doesn't care about the obstacles on the way to their goal. They don't care if doing what's right annoys people.
It's about sticking to your values, even if it makes you different, facing failure.
Exactly. People who genuinely don't give a feck about the hardships, they laugh off embarrassment. They keep going. Because they know what they're aiming for is more important than their ego.
They say feck it to the worthless stuff.
Precisely. They save their limited frecks for what actually matters. Family, friends, purpose. And funny enough, because they do that, people end up caring about them more.
There's also that other truth, isn't there? You can't be truly important to some people without being kind of ridiculous or messy to others.
Impossible. Difficulty is baked in. Life is messy. The goal isn't to avoid the mess,
It's to find the mess you actually, enjoy dealing with.
or at least the mess you're willing to deal with for something more important. Which brings us to the second subtlety.
Okay.
To not give a feck about hardship, you first have to care about something more important than the hardship.
Ah, right. Like, if you're obsessing over tiny things, your ex's Instagram, the remote battery's dying.
Yeah. If that's where all your fecks are going, it probably means there's nothing bigger, nothing more meaningful demanding your attention.
And that's the real issue.
It's like the artist said, if people don't have real problems, their brains invent them. What we sometimes call life problems, especially in comfortable societies, are just side effects of not having bigger things to worry about.
So finding something genuinely important to care about is maybe the best use of our energy. Otherwise, you just waste it on nonsense.
Exactly. And the third subtlety,
Lay on me.
you're always choosing what to care about, whether you realize it or not.
We're not born indifferent.
Not at all. Kids give a feck about everything. The color of their socks, who got the bigger cookie, it all seems life or death.
Uh-huh, yeah, been there.
But as we get older, hopefully we learn through experience that most of that stuff doesn't really matter long term. People's opinions change, rejections shape us.
We mature, we get more selective with our facts.
We reserve them. It's like Bunk from The Wire said.
I love The Wire. What do you say?
If you go giving a feck when it ain't your turn to give a feck, you're gonna get yourself all fecked up.
Classic Bunk. So true.
And as we get even older, maybe our energy changes, our identity settles, we kind of know who we are, flaws and all.
And accept it.
And weirdly, that's liberating. You don't need to care about everything anymore. Life just is. You accept the imperfections. Maybe you won't cure cancer, maybe you won't go to the moon, and that's okay.
You save those last precious flax for what really counts. Family, close friends, the deep stuff.
And that simplification, that often brings real contentment. Maybe Bukowski was onto something profound. Don't try.
It really reframes everything. This book, it helps you clarify your choices, right? What matters, what doesn't. We're kind of in this cultural moment where it feels like it's not okay for things to be messy.
Which makes us feel flawed. So we overcompensate, maybe with consumerism, maybe with unhealthy habits.
That belief that it's not okay to be imperfect, that's the engine of the feedback loop from hell.
Exactly. So not giving a feck is about reorienting your expectations, choosing what's truly valuable. Practicing this skill leads to what the book calls practical enlightenment.
Practical enlightenment. Okay, unpack that.
It doesn't mean like floating on a cloud, end of all suffering. Quite the opposite.
Oh.
It means accepting that suffering is part of the deal. Life will have failure, loss, regret, death. It's unavoidable.
So enlightenment is being okay with the crap.
Pretty much. Because when you're okay with the challenges life throws at you, that's when you become truly resilient. Unstoppable, maybe. The only way to overcome pain is to first learn how to endure it.
So this book isn't trying to magically fix your problems or take away your pain.
Nope. It's honest about that. It's
Yeah.
not a guide to being perfect, because that's impossible. Instead, it's about turning your pain into a tool, your wounds into strength, your problems into better problems.
That's real progress.
Think of it as a guide to suffering better, more meaningfully, with more humility, more empathy. It's about moving forward with your burdens, facing your fears, finding strength even in the tears.
Wow.
This deep dive, like the book, isn't about how to get more, achieve more. It's more about how to lose, how to let go,
Simplify. Discard the unimportant.
and learn to fall with confidence knowing you'll be okay. It teaches you to give fewer fecks. It teaches you not to try.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. There's this amazing story, right, from like 2,500 years ago over in Nepal.
The Buddhist story, yeah.
This king has a son, and he decides, my son will never suffer. His life will be perfect. Every need met, every desire fulfilled instantly.
He builds these high walls around the palace, basically creates this perfect little bubble. The prince grows up completely shielded from the real world. No sickness, no old age, no death, just luxury.
Sounds kind of nice, but
But yeah, the prince gets restless. Everything feels empty, hollow. He realizes that all this stuff, it doesn't bring any real satisfaction.
so one night he sneaks out.
Beyond the walls. And what he sees just rocks his world. Sick people, old people, homeless people, dying people, real suffering.
It triggers this massive existential crisis. He feels like the very wealth that protected him also made his life meaningless.
So he does something drastic. He leaves, abandons the royal life, family, everything, becomes an ascetic.
Goes to the other extreme. Lives on the streets, starves himself, endures pain, loneliness. Pushes himself to the absolute limit.
Right, experiences extreme suffering, but still, no answers, no ultimate meaning.
And that's when he has this huge insight, right? That extreme suffering, just like extreme wealth, is also meaningless if there's no purpose behind it. Both ideas were flawed.
Exactly. So he sits under this tree, vows not to move until he figures it out. 49 days later, boom, he's the Buddha.
And one of his big takeaways was that suffering is just built in. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, have family, or are alone. Everyone suffers.
Not all suffering is the same, obviously, but everyone experiences it. So his core teaching became, pain and loss are inevitable. Stop fighting them.
Which leads to this kind of modern assumption we have, doesn't it? That happiness is like a puzzle you can solve. If I just get X, then I'll be happy.
Right. But the book argues that assumption is the problem. Happiness isn't some equation you solve. Dissatisfaction, unhappiness, they're actually part of being human. And weirdly essential for creating lasting happiness.
Buddha explained it philosophically, but there's the biological reason too.
Totally. Okay, imagine the superhero I'd invent. Disappointment Panda.
Disappointed Panda, I love it.
His superpower, he just shows up and tells you uncomfortable truths you need to hear but don't want to.
Like what?
Like, hey, earning more money won't actually make your kids love you. Or that thing you call friendship, it's mostly just you trying to get attention. Ouch.
Ouch is right, but I see the point.
He'd make us feel bad, maybe, but ultimately make our lives better. He's like vegetables for your mind. You need him.
Mental broccoli.
Exactly. Because we suffer for a really simple reason. Biologically, suffering is useful. It's nature's kick in the pants to make us change. We evolved with dissatisfaction and insecurity because those feelings drove us to innovate, to survive.
So feeling kind of crappy sometimes isn't a bug, it's a feature.
It's a vital feature. Pain, all kinds of pain, is just feedback. Stub your toe. Physical pain teaches you, don't walk into that table.
Right.
Rejection. Emotional pain teaches you how to navigate relationships better, maybe avoid certain mistakes.
So if we're always trying to avoid discomfort,
we miss the feedback, we disconnect from reality, we don't grow. Because here's the raw truth. Problems never, ever stop.
change.
They just get better.
Yep.
Hopefully. You know, Warren Buffett has money problems. A homeless person has money problems. Buffett's are arguably better problems, right? Life is just this endless series of evolving problems.
And solving one problem just creates a new one.
Pretty much. So don't hope for a life without problems. That's impossible. Instead, hope for a life full of good problems.
Good problems. I like that.
And that leads to the real insight. Happiness actually comes from solving problems.
It's an activity, not a state you arrive at.
Exactly. It's in the process of solving. It's not about having no problems. If you avoid problems, deny them, feel like you can't solve them, that's misery.
Okay, example. Joining a gym solves maybe a health problem, but creates new ones. Getting up early, being sore.
Right. Planning date night solves the quality time problem, but creates the what do we do and who gets a sitter problem. Problems just evolve.
The happiness is in the doing, the solving. We need something to solve.
Which ties into that idea of the hedonic treadmill.
Yeah, psychological concept.
We keep striving to improve things, make our lives better, but emotionally, we often kind of end up back where we started. Because biologically, we're wired to always want more.
What made us happy yesterday doesn't necessarily cut it today.
Exactly. Happiness and pain are two sides of the same coin. Everything good costs something. There's always a sacrifice involved.
Man, that's tough to accept, isn't it? We want the fantasy of just pure, endless happiness, no suffering.
We do, but we can't have it. So it forces us to ask a better question. Not, what do I want to enjoy? What suffering am I willing to endure? What am I willing to struggle for? That question tells you way more about your life than your desires do.
Because most people want the corner office, the big money.
Sure. But do they want the 60-hour weeks? The brutal commute, the office politics? Most people want a great relationship.
But maybe not the tough conversations, the vulnerability, the hurt feelings that come with real closeness.
Right, so they stay stuck in what-if land, asking what if, until it just becomes what else.
Because happiness requires that struggle. It grows out of the problems. Real satisfaction, real meaning comes from choosing your struggles and actively dealing with them.
You want to be fit. You got to embrace the gym pain, the diet discipline, want to start a business. Got to respect the risk, the uncertainty, the long hours with maybe no payoff for ages.
Want real connection. Got to risk vulnerability, rejection. It's part of the deal.
It's the game. You can't win if you don't play.
So success isn't about what do you want to enjoy, it's what pain are you willing to put up with?
That's the defining question. Pleasure is easy. We all want similar pleasures. The interesting question, the one that separates us, defines us, is about the pain. What pain do you choose?
That's where empathy comes from too, right? Understanding shared struggle.
Definitely. You know, for years, like half my life, I dreamed of being a rock star.
Oh, really? On
Yeah.
stage, lights, crowds.
Totally, the whole fantasy. But, you know, despite dreaming about it forever, it never happened. And it took me a long time to figure out why.
Why?
I didn't actually want it.
Yeah.
Not really. I loved the idea of the result, the cheering, the glory, but I didn't love the process.
The daily grind.
Yeah, the endless practice, finding bandmates, dealing with drama, lugging heavy amps at 2 a.m., broken strings. I loved the fantasy of the peak, but I hated the climb.
And modern culture might say, oh, you failed, or you gave up too easily.
Right. But the book's perspective is simpler. You thought you wanted something, but you didn't actually love the struggle required to get it. You wanted the reward, not the journey. Life doesn't work like that.
Your struggle defines you. The people who actually enjoy the sweat and effort at the gym, they get fit.
The ones who embrace the long hours in politics, they climb the ladder. The ones who accept the instability of being an artist, they're the ones who truly live it.
It's not just willpower. It's about finding the struggle you can embrace.
It's fundamental. Our struggles determine our successes. Our problems create happiness, and then they bring us slightly better problems.
It's like an endless upward spiral. And the joy is actually in the climb itself. Have you ever felt stuck in a loop you couldn't break? Drop a sigh in the comments if you've been there.
Yeah.
And hey, if this deep dive is hitting home so far, if you're finding these insights useful, do us a quick favor. Just tap like and hit subscribe. It honestly really helps the channel grow and lets us keep bringing you content like this every week. Thanks.
Oh.
Okay, let's talk about this guy I used to know. We'll call him Jimmy.
Uh-oh. Jimmy.
Jimmy was always talking about his amazing startup ideas, his investment opportunities. He'd rattle off names of companies he was consulting for, apps he was building.
The big talker.
Totally. Always hyping himself up, his genius, his connections, perpetually on. But, you know, behind the scenes, it was mostly hot air. He was kind of living off other people, family, partners, stringing them along with these grand promises of future riches.
The professional parasite masked by hype.
Yeah. And he had this bizarrely unshakable confidence. If you criticized him, you were just an ignorant hater. Questioned his lifestyle, you were jealous.
Delusional confidence. It happens.
And this whole Jimmy story connects to something the book explores, that self-esteem movement back in the 60s and 70s.
Yes. The idea back then was, well, if people just felt better about themselves, had higher self-regard, society's problems would lessen, performance would improve.
So schools started doing things like inflating grades, handing out participation trophies for everyone.
Telling every kid how special they were. Religious leaders jumped in, everyone's destined for greatness.
Right. But fast forward a generation. And the results weren't quite what they expected, were they?
Not exactly. It turns out just feeling good about yourself for no real reason doesn't achieve much. Facing hardships, dealing with failure, that's what builds real determination.
So instead of a society full of Bill Gateses,
We got a lot more Jimmys, people with artificially high self-esteem who couldn't handle reality, couldn't handle criticism or failure.
my beef with that whole movement is how it measured self-worth just by how positively people felt. But surely a better measure is how you handle the negative stuff, right?
Absolutely. If someone like Jimmy feels great while their life is kind of falling apart around them, that positive feeling isn't really a sign of success, is it?
Not at all. Jimmy just embodied entitlement, believing he deserved good things without actually earning them.
Get rich with no effort, be popular without being kind, have an amazing life without sacrifice.
And that entitlement forces people to constantly prop up this false confidence, which takes a lot of energy, always trying to convince yourself and others that your mess doesn't stink.
Yeah, it's exhausting. And it makes everything about them. Every event is either proof of their genius or a threat from some jealous enemy. It's this narcissistic bubble.
Impermeable to reality. It feels good for a bit, maybe, but it's not real happiness. The book argues true self-worth comes from how you face the bad stuff.
Exactly. Someone with genuine self-respect can look at their flaws honestly. Okay, yeah, I'm sometimes irresponsible, or I do exaggerate, or I rely too much on others, and then they can actually work on it.
But entitled people, they can't admit the problem, so they can't improve. They're stuck just chasing the next temporary high, burying the denial deeper.
Until reality eventually smacks them in the face. I had my own brush with this, though maybe in a different way than Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
When I was 13, I got caught with something I shouldn't have had at school. Found this secret pocket in my backpack. Terrifying moment.
Oof. Yeah.
Led to big consequences. Expulsion, homeschooling, big family changes. A really rough time personally.
Like kind of intense pain, especially young.
It can push you towards entitlement as a coping mechanism. While Jimmy's was maybe about business, mine showed up more in relationships for a long time, needing constant validation, being self-centered, chasing shallow stuff.
Because the deeper the pain, the more helpless you feel, and the more you might grasp it feeling special in some way to compensate.
Exactly. And it tends to show up in two main ways. Either, I'm amazing, so I deserve special treatment. That's the Jimmy type.
Right.
Or, I suck so bad, my suffering is so unique, therefore I deserve special treatment. The victim mentality version.
Two sides of the same coin.
Both are totally self-absorbed bubbles, constantly swinging between feeling like God's gift and feeling like the world is ending just for them.
We easily spot the loud, narcissistic entitlement.
Yeah.
But the victim kind, it's sneakier, maybe.
It can be. But interpreting everything as proof of your unique victimhood takes just as much self-centeredness as thinking you're inherently superior.
The harsh truth the book lays out is, there's really no such thing as a truly personal problem in that sense.
Meaning.
If you have a problem, chances are millions of other people have it now, or will have it.
Right. That doesn't make your pain less real, of course. But it does mean you're not, uniquely cursed or special in your suffering.
And usually, realizing your problems aren't unique is the first step to actually solving them. But it feels like maybe more people are forgetting that now.
There's definitely discussion about it. Some teachers report seeing less emotional resilience, more entitlement in students, more sensitivity to discomfort, maybe.
Yeah, and it's weird, right? We're more connected than ever, yet entitlement seems higher.
Technology is amazing, obviously, but maybe it also amplifies our insecurities. The more we can express ourselves, the more maybe we want to avoid anyone who disagrees. The easier life gets, the more we feel entitled to even more ease.
It's a paradox. And speaking of technology and information, our attention is limited, right? We can't process everything.
Not even close. So what cuts through the noise? The extremes.
The absolute best of the best. The absolute worst of the worst.
The most amazing success stories, the most heartbreaking tragedies, the scariest threats. That's what grabs attention. That's what media focuses on because it gets clicks, 6 views.
But most of life happens.
Yeah.
Where?
In the middle. The average, the ordinary. But because we're constantly bombarded with the extremes, we start to believe that being extraordinary is somehow the new normal.
And since most of us are average most of the time.
It creates this massive wave of inadequacy, feeling like you're failing if you're not exceptional, which leads people to overcompensate maybe through entitlement, maybe addictions, trying to feel special somehow.
If the only life worth living is an extraordinary one, then doesn't that mean most of humanity, including yourself probably, is just worthless?
It's a really dangerous and unhealthy way to think. If I'm not going to be exceptional, what's the point?
This idea that we're all destined for greatness, it's everywhere. Celebrities, CEOs, politicians.
Yeah, average has become like the new failure. The worst thing you can be is just normal in the middle. So if you can't be exceptionally good, maybe you try to be exceptionally bad or exceptionally victimized just to stand out.
It's a trap. Believing you have to be amazing means you think most people aren't, which isn't a great outlook.
And here's the other twist. The people who do achieve amazing things, they usually don't start out thinking they're already amazing.
Right. They get there because they're obsessed with improving. They know they're not amazing yet. They see the gap.
They implicitly accept their current averageness, or at least their potential for improvement. That's the total opposite of entitlement. Real greatness comes from understanding you're not there yet.
So all that everyone can be extraordinary talk, it feels good, sure.
But it's like psychological junk food. Empty calories. Makes your ego fat, but leaves you spiritually malnourished.
The path to actual mental health, the book suggests, is more like eating your vegetables, accepting the boring, unsexy truths. Like, hey, your individual actions probably won't change the entire world, or most of your life is likely going to be pretty unremarkable, and that is perfectly okay.
Oof, those are the mental health vegetables, all right? Bitter at first?
Definitely.
Yeah.
But once you digest them, the book says it brings this incredible sense of freedom and strength.
Because that constant pressure is just gone. The pressure to be amazing, the next big thing, the anxiety of always feeling inadequate evaporates.
And accepting your ordinary existence, paradoxically, frees you up.
Frees you to actually pursue what you genuinely want without the weight of unrealistic expectations or judgment.
You start appreciating the simple stuff more, like just having a good conversation with a friend, creating something small, helping someone out, reading a book, laughing.
Things that might sound boring because they're common.
But maybe they're common precisely because they're what actually matters.
That's a powerful thought. What's one belief from this deep dive that really challenged your thinking? Let us know in the comments. Seriously, I read every single one.
Yeah, me too. And also, what kind of topics would you love to hear us tackle next? Drop your suggestions below. #ending.
So when we boil it all down, this art of not giving a feck, it's really not about being indifferent, is it? It's about being intentional.
Making choices.
Conscious choices. Choosing your battles. Choosing what struggles are worthwhile for you and just radically accepting reality, flaws and all. It's about saving those limited fecks for the things that genuinely add value to your inner life.
Not wasting them on all the superficial noise out there.
Exactly.
So the challenge then, for you listening, is maybe instead of chasing the next fleeting high or constantly seeking external validation, what if you just embraced the messiness? What if you really sat down and decided, okay, this is what I'm willing to struggle for, knowing that the meaning, the real satisfaction, is actually in that struggle?
Because this book, it's not trying to make you perfect. Perfection's an illusion anyway. It's more like a guide to suffering better.
Suffering more meaningfully.
Yeah. With more humility, more empathy. It's about learning to be okay with the punches life throws. Because truly accepting them is the only way to become genuinely resilient, unstoppable even.
It teaches you to let go, to strip away the unimportant.
To fall down, maybe, but with the confidence that you'll be okay. It teaches you to give fewer fix. Ultimately, it teaches you not to try so damn hard at the wrong things.
Wow. Well, if this deep dive gave you something to think about, please like, share it, leave a comment, let us know your thoughts. And remember, this is just the beginning.